Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning into this broadcast. I want to welcome you officially to the Self Care Act, this show that educates and empower you on loving yourself, loving others, and loving life. I am your international award winning author and filmmaker and empowerment specialist, Tennille M. Jackson. And I want to welcome you guys to an all new show. We are all new at 2. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Maxine's baby, the Tyler Perry story. And as you all are coming on, regardless of where you are listening from, so whether you are looking at Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, or even Wisdom, please be sure to say hello so that way I can speak back. Make sure to like and share so that way others can tune in and tag somebody that you believe would benefit from this broadcast. So, who would benefit from today's show? Anybody you know that watched the movie Maxine's Baby. So, whether for those of you who may not know what I'm talking about, Tyler Perry have has a documentary. This is not something that he himself produced. It was produced by other people, one of which is his son's mother. But this is the story of his life, and it aired on Amazon Prime Video on Friday, November 17th. And so I don't know about you guys, but my timeline, news feed across social media has really just been blowing up about everything that has to do with Tyler Perry. Hey, Miss LaDonna. And so I want to take the time because many of you, if you know me for half a second, uh, you know that I have a strong admiration for Tyler Perry. I have for the last probably decade, probably ever since I've become an entrepreneur. And so once I have been, and I don't like to use the word fan when you talk about people, only because I'm very careful not to put people on pedestals, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, people are still people, regardless if they're a celebrity, if they're an athlete, whatever capacity in which they serve, they are just people and they are susceptible to the same mistakes that we are. And a lot of times, what people do with public figures is they put them on this huge pedestal. And so that the moment that they show their humanness, if you will, it becomes an issue for so many, right? Because so many people don't want to know or see or think that there are others who may actually be in that same regard as them. And so, for me, and so that's again why I don't really put people on pedestals. Y'all give me one quick second because I want to just tag a few people on Facebook. Hold on one quick second, and we are gonna get going here, guys. Okay, so let's go. Let's keep going. So in either case, I have said ever since I started watching um Tyler Perry, knowing who he was. I actually was probably introduced to Tyler Perry a little bit later than many people was. I did not know him when he first started with that first play, right? But for me, once I became an entrepreneur, especially because I have a big presence in the literary world, and so for me, I always looked at myself as wanting to do for the literary world what Tyler Perry does for the entertainment world, for what he does with TV and plays and movies. That's kind of what I was looking to do literarily. And so I'm a adamant believer that you can't be what you can't see. And so although you may not know individual people. So in other words, I may not personally know someone who does what I aspire to do. However, I believe that you should make it your business to get in the same room with people who inspire you, with people who you can look to. So it does not, when you are looking to be mentored, it does not always have to be a direct mentorship, right? It can also be an indirect one. And so for me, for the course of my entrepreneurial journey, that's really what Tyler Perry has symbolized for me personally. I also have another friend, his name is Cyrus Webb, and he's out of Mississippi. And I've known Cyrus probably for about a decade as well. And for me, he is like the tangible Tyler Perry, if you will. Cyrus does a lot of things across genre. Also, he started literarily. He had a Conversations magazine, a podcast. I mean, he did some of everything. Now he does a lot on Amazon. And I remember having a conversation with Cyrus one day. Again, this was years ago, and I would say like, how in the world do you do all what you do, right? And I was, because I was wanting to do more things, but because of my position in life, meaning I'm a mom, a wife, and all of that, that it doesn't always allow me the freedom and the ability to do everything. And I remember him saying to me, he's like, Tennille, sometimes I wonder how you do all that you do, right? He's like, because here's what you have to understand. He says, I'm single and I don't have any children, so my magazine, my book club, all of those things, my radio station, those are my babies, so I give so much time to that. And I was always grateful for that advice and that feedback, because I think sometimes it takes being able to hear from people that you look to kind of identify in you what you may overlook and not think a lot of in yourself, right? And so the point just is that Tyler Perry for me has been a person when I look at, and I know there has been a lot of just as much positive as it is said about Tyler Perry, there's also negative. You're going to always have haters. You're going to always have people who, don't understand your vision. You're going to always have people who look down on you or feel like that they could be doing so much better than you. And so one of the things that I liked, and again, I'm going to jump into the review of the movie, and whether y'all know it or not, I'm actually kind of giving you some of the lessons that I took away. I'm just giving it to you early. But one of the things I loved in hearing what he said in the documentary was how he was very well aware of his critics. He just didn't care. He's like, because I understand what I'm trying to do. I understand who my target market is, and that's what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And so even that, as an entrepreneur, I think is something that all of us needs to take and hold on to, because many times you're losing sleep over folk that could care less about you. Like, all they're doing is there just to be a distraction. And if you know your why, you know your who, you know the reason why you're doing what you're doing, then many times that's what you have to keep as your focal point and just stay the course. And so in either case, for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm about to jump into this review of Maxine's Baby, the Tyler Perry story. And as I'm doing that, please do me a favor. If we are not already connected across social media platforms, please rectify that now. You can find and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and even Wisdom. At my name is Tennille. So please be sure to connect with me. But let's just jump into it, right? So, okay. So when this movie comes on, is really kind of narrated by his cousin who grew up with Tyler, who knew him. Oh, wait. Let me do this. If you have not watched Maxine's Baby, turn away. Turn away. Like, this is not going to be the review that does not leave anything. I'm going to talk about the whole thing. So if you like, man, I want to watch it, don't watch this review, because I'm about to go into a lot of specifics with what happened. Hey, Miss Shaquille, I am going to be going to specifics what happened on the documentary. So if you're the type of person that's like, you know what, you can tell me it don't matter, I'm gonna watch it no matter what. Let me tell you, LaDonna, I definitely enjoyed it. LaDonna said she enjoyed it. I definitely did. But if you're the type of person who says, hey, the review won't change my opinion, it won't change my desire to watch it. Everybody doesn't feel that way. Some people are like, why are you giving the movie away? If you're that person, turn, turn, because I'm about to go into it. So listen. So the movie opens up, the documentary opens up. And first of all, let me say this. I love documentaries. I also am a documentarian. I released my first film in 2022 called The Four Eyes of the Black Man. And the eyes stood for identity, influence, insecurity, and impact. And I really think that one of the reasons why I decided to do this piece, do my movie as a documentary, is because I love documentaries. I think that it's a great way to tell stories, to get people to understand the information that you have from your perspective. Thank you so much, LaDonna. But I think it's a strong way of getting people to see issues through your perspective, from your perspective. And so with this documentary, I think it was the same thing. Like, it was very well done. So let's get into it, and then I'll give my review. So with the movie, as it's coming on, his cousin is really kind of taking us through what young Emmett Perry Jr. was like, right? So for many of you, if you didn't already know Tyler Perry, you might have been like, who is Emmett? But to learn that he was named after who he believed his father to be, right? But because of the treatment that he got from his father, he did not want to be known by that name, right? And that's a lesson all in and of itself. Somebody can treat you so poorly that it makes you want to change your name. But the thing about it is, what he turned that thing around so that, it's like, okay, I can change my name, but that don't have to be the end of me. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, I'm changing my name for the better. I'm changing my name to be something good. And so the point is, many people in your life may have called you something just because my mom would always say, and I'm sure it was a cliche from somewhere else, but she would always say, it's not what you're called, it's what you answer to, right? And so you have the power of what you are going to answer to. You are able to determine, just because someone says you're a failure, you're nothing, you won't ever amount to anything, you don't have to respond to that. You don't have to allow those things that's being said to be what determines your future, because Tyler Perry definitely didn't. Like, he had such compassion, even though he hated his father at the time. And I mean, when you grow up in an abusive home, you kind of understand that rationale. And so that's kind of what it was like. He grew up in a situation that was very unfortunate. He grew up in an abusive home, himself with his sisters, his mom, and it was just a very unfortunate situation. But he pushed through. He found a way where writing became, even at a young age, writing became something that connected him to a bigger purpose, right? And I say this all the time as an author, even if you don't choose to publish what you're writing, be sure to use writing as an outlet, because that's definitively a thing that it is. Before there was a such thing as journals, like before journaling became a big thing, we used to do what we call writing in our diary, right? So when I was young, I kept a diary as well. I would write down different things because, like Perry, like Tyler, I grew up in an abusive home. And so you just figured out how to cope. And for me, writing was always something that I looked to. It was always, I would write it down. I might not have had a lot of friends. And even if you had friends, we grew up in the land of what goes on in this house stays in this house. And so, you didn't tell other people, because in a way, for me at least, I thought other people knew. I don't know how I thought they knew, but it was like you didn't. And even if people didn't know, you didn't want to get your dad in trouble. You know what I'm trying to say? You didn't want people to look different at you, or you didn't. Hey, Vanessa. You didn't want people to look differently at you. You didn't want for people to look down at you, or look differently at the abuser, because here is what's crazy about an abusive relationship, especially if it's supposed to be between somebody that you're supposed to love, right? Like, even though you may not like what the person is doing to you, like, you and again, maybe it's just the dysfunctional relationships and the toxic ones, but you still love them. Like, you still want for people to not look at them any differently, not treat them any differently, because it's still connected to you, and it's connected to your childhood, your adolescence. You know what I'm saying? It's connected to your life, and so it is your normal. And so you don't, just because it may not be right, it's still all that you know as being right, right? So anyway, let's keep going. So the cousin is taking you through what it was like being Emmett Perry Jr., letting you know how everybody grew up calling him Junior, and he really kind of didn't like it, but it was what it was. And he's explaining to you how certain things came about, right? And again, if you've ever followed Tyler Perry, there's certain of these things were not news to you, right? Like, when they went on to tell you, Tyler began to talk about the different jobs he had, like the odd jobs and things that he had growing up, and how he ended up living in his car. And so for a while he was homeless, and that, again, that's a huge, like, it's so many pieces where you could stop and just give a whole word, because so much of this documentary, it was just life lessons, right? Like, a whole lot of times people feel like that because you're on top now, like, because when they come in your life, they see you on top, that's where you started, that you've always been on top. No. No, I have not always been on top. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm saying that was his mentality. Like, he knew where he came from. He knew he came from New Orleans. He knew that, what New Orleans was, how it was perceived to be, death capital of the world at one point, and so it was hard. And the fact that he made it out, is one of the reasons why he gives back as much as he does, right? Because he knows where he came from. And I don't understand how people can have an issue with somebody who makes it their business to pour into other people, because here's the thing, it's not like he has to. There is no law that says that just because you made it, that you have to. You should, but everybody does not, right? And so, he knows the opposite end. Like, he's extremely wealthy now, right? I think, what was it, a year or so ago, when he made it to the billionaire club. It's not a whole lot of black folks in that billionaire club. I don't know how many black folks is in the millionaire club, but it definitely ain't a lot of black folks in that billionaire club. And the irony is that, I remember in the Bible, Paul talks about how I've learned both, right? I've learned how to be abased, and I've learned how to abound. I've learned how to be full, and I've learned how to be hungry. So, whatsoever state I'm in, I've learned to be content. And that's the thing, when you deal with someone who has known nothing, you deal with someone who has known homelessness, then giving them a mansion is not like there's an appreciation there, but it's like, you know what? But I'm willing to still take these chances and these risks, because what's the worst that can happen? I can live in my car. been there already. Does that make sense? Like if you have never been hungry, then you're probably afraid to go a day without eating. But if you've gone 2 days without food, then somebody saying you have to wait 8 hours, it's not a big deal. Been there already, right? And so in either case, he went through living in his car to pursue his dream, though. Like he went through trying to open up. And again, when people don't know your story, when all they do is they catch you in chapter 38, but you ain't been here for the first 37 chapters. Like this a long story. He on chapter what, 54, 55 now, but you don't know how long I had to go through to get to this point. You just turn the page and you happen to be on chapter 38, where now I'm in the mountaintops. Now everybody know my name, but it was a whole journey, right? And a lot of times that's the thing, as entrepreneurs especially, if you were not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, if you have to actually go through all of everything to work your way, it's a struggle. And the reason why other entrepreneurs, we tip our hats to each other, is because we understand that struggle. And especially if you are an independent entrepreneur, that's one of the reasons why I started doing what I do with Artists Promoting Success, right? Like where my whole mission is to help independent authors and entrepreneurs, because it's one thing to have a desire, to have a dream, and to want to go forward, but when you got to do it all on your own, this is a whole big, huge world, and everybody ain't friendly. Everybody ain't trying to help you succeed. Everybody don't understand your crazy. And when I say that, I say that in the most respectful way. I always say that as entrepreneurs, we all subscribe to our own brand of crazy, especially if you are creative, because everybody don't want this life. Everybody don't want to start, make something out of nothing. It went from a thought and an idea to a book, to a movie, to a play, to a song, like just some things I had in my head. And the way that ideas come to you don't always just be all nice and natural, right? A lot of times the way that these thoughts come to you might wake you up in the middle of the night. The way that you're inspired, it might actually come from pain and agony. The material, the content that you get, it comes from your life experiences. And so the catch 22 is that it's hard to really to write about experiences that you've never had. It's hard to sing from a place that you can identify when you can't identify. Some of the best love songs, the best heartbreak songs, people actually had to go through that heartbreak in order to give you that song. I wrote a song remembering, and I've been kind of taking y'all on that journey as well. That was a tribute to my mom, right? My mom has been gone for 21 years now, and I released it last year for her 20th year death anniversary. And it's like people love the song, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's such a great song." Let me tell you something. If there could have been a way that I could have avoided writing this song, I guarantee you I would have rather not written the song. I would have rather still have my mom and you all just never know the song remembering, as opposed to having to have lost my mother and tap into the pain, the heartache, the misery that was the journey that it took to get through that, to get to the hillside, to be able to put something out. Like a lot of times that's how things happen. And going back, like bringing this back to Tyler, that's really what happened with him, right? Like he said at one point in the documentary, because I mean this man is like mass producing TV shows and movies and like all this stuff. I think it said like one of the movies he did, he shot in like 4 days, like he's literally because I think Gail King was the one that said, well, I've been told that working for Tyler is, it can be quite a bit sometimes, but he's never asking anyone to give him more than he's willing to give himself, right? And so I think that is incredible. Look, let me tell you something. Vanessa. Like, don't people don't understand when to get the term that most people would call genius, creative genius, musical genius, whatever. A lot of times you got to go through stuff that would break the average person. I think about, I want to say, who is it? Vincent Van Gogh that cut off his ear, probably one of the most brilliant painters of our time, but someone quite right that would make him cut off his ear. You think about some of the musical geniuses, and they have some things that have later been diagnosed with names. Whether you're talking about schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, or it's a lot of different things that there is now names to, that before there were not names for people with mental health issues. And that's not me saying that everybody who is a creative genius has experienced mental health issues and you can file depression under that, but many have. Such is the case with Tyler Perry. And he talks about how a lot of his stuff came from a place of pain. Absolutely. He said no one could outwork him. And he's like, that was the thing that separated him and most other people, is that you can't outwork him because he's always going. One of the things that was said early in the documentary, they were like, how they want to be like Tyler, they were going to be the next Tyler Perry. And he's like, well, are you willing to travel 300 days a year? Because if you're not willing to do that, to get to know your fans, are you willing to travel 300 days a year to get to know your fans, to get closer to your people? If your answer is no, then you're not ready to be the next Tyler Perry. And again, so many times we say that we want things, right? But we say that we want them without understanding what it takes to get them. So whether you're talking about the pain and the misery and the agony, the anguish that had to come from it, or whether you're talking about the work ethic, having to miss birthdays and family events and sleep, and like, it's a lot of things that people give up so that they can accomplish what it is that they want to accomplish. And I'll tell you that even that statement put things in perspective for me, because here's the thing. Says, you know what? No, 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 that is not my lane. Because there are too many things that I do that necessitates I stay in place, right? As a wife, as a mother, I'm a first lady at my church, and I'm very involved with my church. There are people that I mentor. Like, there's no way that I could be on the road 300 days and I only got 2 months. So out of 12 months, only 2 months I'm at home. Do you understand how I don't want my children to not know who I am? Do you? And that's how come a lot of people who have those types of schedules, they opt not to have children. Because I thought about, like, even like a lot of athletes, that's their schedules too. I know with wrestlers, that's their schedule. They're traveling 300 days, they're on the road. Why? Because that's what it takes. If you're trying to build a brand, and this is for all my entrepreneurs out here, they're saying you want to be the next billionaire. Yes, it's true. Everybody can do it their own way. Yes, it's true that Tyler started before there was an internet, right? And he talked about that in the movie as well, how when he got started, he just had his website. He had enough business savvy to know that I need to have a website. I need to be collecting people's email addresses so that way I can stay in touch with them in that manner, right? Because a lot of times, if people are coming out to see us, they know us for that thing, that product, that business, that service. But if I'm going to have more, if they were interested in this, then chances are they'll be interested in that. And he wasn't afraid of no's or being turned down. He's just like, look, I'm going to put it out there. And what happened was, as they would go to every different city, they would sell out, right? But before you got to the sellout point, there were years that he started when he first started his first play, and no one came. It was a small venue, did not get sold out. And he used all of his money to do it. And it continuously happened where it would flop. And again, if you are an entrepreneur, you're watching this movie and you're getting empowered, you're getting amped up. Why? Because first of all, you're like, wait a minute, Tyler Perry got rejected like this. Wait a minute, Tyler Perry couldn't do da da da. Because when you think about Tyler Perry right now, you think about the Medea Empire, you think about Diary of a Mad Black Woman, you think about the Have and the Have Nots, you think about like all of these different Meet the Browns, House of Pain. You think about all of these TV shows he's done, all these movies he's produced, the plays he's done. That's what you know now. But there is no way, knowing what you know now, if there was not a Tyler Perry story, there is no way that you would have thought that he went through all of the rejection that he did, that he suffered all of, you would have thought that he was born with either a silver spoon in his mouth, or that he was born well connected to folks, or that he never experienced any type of tragedy and triumph, because that's how we as humans, that's what we like to believe. We like to believe that the way and the reason how come everybody made it is because they never experienced anything, or that we too can make it without having to ever put in the same type of effort or energy that anybody else does. But look, y'all, I'm gonna stop real quick because we know that we are in the midst of holiday season. In fact, Thanksgiving is this Thursday, and I would be remiss if I did not let you all know what I have going on myself. So there are two specials that I'm running. You all know that I am a life coach and a lit coach, and so as a life coach, I am offering this deal, which is becoming part of my 12-week masterclass, building the quintessential self. And so, if you want to discover your true identity, embrace a deeper sense of self, learn how to overcome internal hindrances and recognize external stumbling blocks and how to overcome them, how to conquer them, then I'm inviting you guys to join my 12-week masterclass. It starts on Monday, January 8th. It is normally $12.97, but for this week only, the holiday sale, you can get it for $9.97. And again, you can go to the website. My name is Tennille.com, but $9.97 to get into this masterclass. And you can reserve your spot for just $97. So if you know anybody who is looking to become better, most of the time we say new year, new you, right? So if you know what, I need to really figure out who I am and walk in that, then I encourage you to sign up. This week only is $9.97. And again, I say you can reserve your spot for only $97. And finally, with my masterclass for writing, you guys know I'm an international award-winning author. So if you want to write a book, you don't know how, you've been saying you're going to do it, never got around to doing it, then again, I have a masterclass just for you all too. And it's called Everything You Need to Know to Write a Book. So whether you're talking about creating your outlines, crafting your chapters, doing your synopsis, like whatever it takes to write a book and then some, we're going to take 12 weeks to go through it. So you'll get weekly videos, you'll get 1 hour Zoom sessions with me, as well as a free ebook. And that is going to start on January 11th. Again, normally $12.97, but the holiday sale, which means this week only, it is going to be $9.97, and you can reserve your spot with just $97. So these two sales end on Cyber Monday, which is November 27th. So right in time for the holiday, guys. You can go ahead, write better, life better, right? So if you're looking to live a better life, like if Tyler Perry's story, if it encouraged you at all, and you're like, man, I do need to get a little bit better, then join the Building the Quintessential Masterclass. If you want to write better, you want to actually finish the book because you know, hey, if Tyler did it, I can do it too, then join that writing masterclass, everything you need to know to write the book. And then finally, if you are watching this show and you're like, you know what, I would really love for you to put my message out there, then here are some sponsorship opportunities for you as well, right? I want to encourage you guys to not do things the same way. If you are looking to get your message out, I have a plethora of shows Monday through Friday. we educate and empower personally, professionally, politically, socially, and spiritually. So, regardless of what category your business falls under, there is at least one show that will be ideal, that will reach the ideal market for you. And sponsorship packages start as small as $100, right? So, again, I will put this on at the end of the show, but just know that you do not have to go through things and do things alone. Because getting back to the Tyler Perry story, Maxine's baby, he said that getting help with promotion was one of the things that helped him really launch forward and catapult to that next level, right? Because he's like, man, listen, he said, there was a promoter and he did the one show and it sold out. And then there was a national promoter that got in touch with him, and there was a 4,500 seat theater, and they sold out 3 days in a row, 4,500 seats. So when connect with other people, and obviously the right people that are able to really help and push and promote what you do. But number one, is not you trying to do it on your own. One of the reasons as entrepreneurs, and maybe a lot of this stuff I could be saying tomorrow for aspects of entrepreneurship, but we have to understand that sometimes we're able to create the product or the service, but maybe we don't know how to put it out there. We don't know how to market, how to promote it. And so once Tyler got with the proper promoter, then it ended up catapulting him to that next level. And when you combine that with his personal business savvy, knowing how to collect the emails, have the website, do all of those things, so he's keeping in touch with his audience, right? And so it was just, for me, it was really inspiring. One of the things that I loved as well, the Bible says that God will make your enemies your footstools, right? And so I thought about how early in his career, how Spike Lee just really did not like Tyler Perry, called him, his craft buffoonery. And, because here's the thing, Spike Lee, if you don't know who he also is a filmmaker, and he is more of a conscious filmmaker. The term you guys will probably use is woke. He's that type of filmmaker. So all the movies that he writes, he knows his audience. He's trying to write things that's going to, bring about an awareness to his viewers about what's going on with the state of affairs, what's going on in the world, specifically in the world with African Americans, right? That's his audience. And he criticized Tyler Perry because he, said that, hey, Miss Beatrice, he criticized Tyler Perry because he said that basically what he did was buffoonery. And I remember when all of that controversy came out, because, the media is really going to hype it up. And here was my thought about that. Like, I don't understand why it is just because we may not understand somebody else's art, that we have to criticize it. Like the same way that Spike knows his audience, Tyler knew his audience as well. He didn't come out, you see what I'm saying? And the thing about it, like, Tyler Perry did not come out hating on Spike Lee. He didn't come out saying, well, I don't understand why Spike Lee got to do these types of movies. And he stayed focused on his audience, his message, what it was he was trying to do. When Spike Lee said the things about it, he kept going. Why? Because he understood his audience. And that's the thing. Again, many of us as entrepreneurs, the moment that you get some type of backlash, somebody says or insinuates that they don't like you, won't like you, whatever, then we constantly, you try to change everything you do and everything you are to try to satisfy everybody. Again, I say Tyler Perry said, hey, Miss Demetrius, Tyler Perry said, look, I hear the critics and I don't care, because they're not who I'm writing for. They are not my target market. And so many of us are trying to chase the dollars. So many of us are trying to make sure that everybody likes us, that everybody is getting our permission, that we're getting their permission and we're getting their approval. Hey, Miss Karen. And Tyler was like, I don't care about what they saying, because they not my target market. 9 times out of 10, they don't even know my target market. When he came out, he was very, very specific and intentional on who it was he was trying to reach. He came out letting it be known, you know what, my target market is really that auntie, that Medea, that grandmother that grew up in the part like where he was from. Again, he's from New Orleans. Every black person got a grandma, a granny, Medea, auntie. All of us got that. I don't care how, financially situated you may be right now. When you grew up, everybody had a big, and again, if you at least my age or older, man, listen, it was a great documentary. And if you grew up, if you in your 40s and over, then everybody grew up, whether it was your house or a house of your family member, that when you went to their house, they had plastic on their couch, or they had runners in the living room, or they had, you understand what I'm saying? We all, I don't care how well off you may be now, but we all grew up with having a picture of Kool-Aid. Like there were just things that, and it was because of who we are, right? And so he didn't betray that. And so when Tyler started, his whole thing was like, I already know, because of his pain, because of what he grew up seeing his mother endure, right? He's like, look, if I can just make some other people laugh. Because again, remember, one of the things that he used to do for his mother, after his mother would be abused or whatever the case may be, he would do things to try to make her laugh. And so what did he do? He understood the joy, like when he did those things for his mother and it gave her joy, his thought was, well, let me try to do this for other mothers, other grandmothers, other aunties that might be in the same situation, so that even if it is just for a little while, they get to escape the hell that they're going through. They get to escape the abuse. They get to escape the trauma, even if not permanently, just for these 2 hours, their minds get to escape. Their minds get to have some type of peace, some type of, joy. And that was his inspiration. That was who his market was. He was very clear when he came out. So his why, and one of the things I always tell you all, like, hey, Miss Anna, one of the things I tell you all is know your why, right? And when I'm talking to entrepreneurs, know your why. Why is it that you're doing what you're doing? People in life in general, do you know your purpose? Because knowing your why is what's going to keep you going. When people don't show up, when people don't support, when people said they was going to be there, they didn't come, when people are talking about you, when you remember why you're doing what you're doing, that helps push you through all of that disappointment, right? Even when there's times when you may feel like giving up for a minute, feel like stopping for a minute because life started lifing, you remember your why and you hold on to your why. So he knew coming out, he knew his why and he knew his who. He knew who his target market was. He wasn't trying to reach the same people that Spike Lee was reaching. He wasn't trying to reach mainstream Hollywood. He already had in his head. And didn't he say that in the movie? He said, you know what? Because even if it doesn't make it, like, I'm being true to myself, I'm being authentic to me. And so I think that, all of these are lessons that you walk away with in after you finish watching this documentary. All of these are lessons that you walk away with knowing. And I think that's one of the reasons too why it was so empowering, because so much of what he shared, whether it was as a direct or indirect result of the experiences he had as a child, like many of us could identify with it. Many of us have either been abused in some type of a way. Many of us have understood trial, tribulation, heartache, turmoil. We have experienced disappointment, trying to launch something, put something out there, and people don't show up, wanting to give up, wanting to stop. Everything that look at you say you should stop, but it's something in here that tell you keep on going, something here that say you can make it, something from there that say, what did I give you to do? What did I purpose you to do? And so when you are being when you're being in tune to that, and when you are intentional about what you're doing and you understand your why, like Tyler did, then you could keep on moving. And even when he said there was one point where he had let it go and he actually had a job, and this was right, before everything was about to get better. There was a guy that gave a call and that, asked him to come out and do it again. And he's like, why would I do this again? But he said the thing that was in me, I had to do it. Like, even though what I had was a guarantee, but what I needed to do was not a guarantee. I had to do it because I knew that that was being true to myself. And many of us, we don't want to let the sure thing go. We might, everything in us might be telling us what we're supposed to do. We know our why, we've learned our why, we've heard our why, we're familiar with the why. However, because the why is uncertain, when I don't really want to do that right now, God. Can you wait until I got about, can I be six figures first, and then can I retire from this thing and then do what you telling me to do? Like, that's how many people operate. And with Tyler, he just never did. Like, and even to this day, being a billionaire, because again, the brother's a billionaire. But before he became a billionaire, how he became a billionaire was because he was always willing to bet on himself. When they had the piece talking about ownership, like, so many people don't do that. They come out with their own stuff. But again, when you're looking at the quick dollar says, okay, I'm just gonna do what I did and I'm just gonna sell it to somebody else. And again, I ain't hating on nobody either way that you do it, because I understand the rationale between both things. But Tyler's point was, look, I'm gonna put up my own coins, and that way anything that comes in, I wrote it, I created it, I spent the time producing it. I got, like, it's all of this stuff that I did. There's no way in the world I'm just gonna hand it over to somebody else. I don't trust your vision. And why in the world should I give it to you and just let you make money off of it? Because again, when you're making something, you ain't making nothing that you think gonna be crap. Like, even if it doesn't win, become world renowned, you, in your mind, you think that it will. If you write a song, if you write a book, if you, create a movie, it's not, no, it's not always about winning awards. So let me restate that. But it's like, everything in me knows that I have to write this, that I have to sing this, that I have to, create this, because it's in me. Now, sometimes what's in you is able to go to another level because it resonates with other people at the same time. But sometimes it's just you being obedient. You know what I'm saying? The reward is being obedient. Like, when he said, when he first did it, it just wasn't the right time. When he first came out with the play, did the play change? No. I mean, like, he would go through and see what can I improve, this and that. But in general, did the play change? No. The time changed. And sometimes the things that we do, it's about timing. Like, it's not that it was a bad idea. It's not that you did anything wrong, but sometimes it's just about timing, right? And so let me quickly go through this, y'all, because I'm basically at the end. But if you are like just now tuning in, I have been doing the Tennille review, and if you've ever seen me review anything, I always got to put my own spin on everything. But we've been reviewing Maxine's Baby, the Tyler Perry story, and just me kind of sharing all the lessons that I learned, all the takeaways. Y'all listen. When that man did built the sound stages, his studios in Atlanta, and they show a speech that he gave when he's like, because this was a Confederate Army base and all of that. And so now, for them to know, okay, even though this is where black people were slaves, now a black man owns all of this. Just give me a shoe and throw it at the screen. Like, are you, I mean, like, things like that are just so admirable. And then, like I say, when he did the 12 sound stages, oh, to just have been a fly on the wall in that room, you got the likes of Ruby D and, oh my God, Ossie Davis and Sidney Poitier, and like all of the different people that he decided to dedicate a soundstage to. And it's like when Whoopi Goldberg, because Whoopi done been out for a while. And a lot of times people forget about Whoopi, or they just narrow her down to when she did her the comedy relief as the comedian with Billy Crystal and them, or some people don't even remember that she was a comedian. You know, you just think of her as Sister Act and Sister Act 2. But when I say like Whoopi Goldberg has really been a wow, yeah, this one I'm finna go to, Vanessa. But when I say that Whoopi Goldberg has been around for a while, and she said, like, I'm not trying to sound whatever. Y'all know she said, but I would never get this in Hollywood because she has to look a certain way. And y'all know Whoopi ain't never been concerned about trying to be something that she's not, to conform for greater greater America, white America, corporate America, whatever you want to call it. Like, she's always been true to herself and her look, right? And for Tyler Perry to say that she was one of the people that he admired, and this man is how many legends is it? How many? And so to be one of 12, that has to make her feel some type of way. Now let's get to what you said, because I definitely want to acknowledge this before we end the podcast. When Spike Lee, you remember how I said earlier how the Lord will make your enemies your footstools? God don't always have a conventional way of doing that. But this same man that talked about him, the buffoonery that was Tyler Perry, all what he didn't do, all this and that. Tyler Perry, it just speaks to his character. He's like, the whole concept of forgive them for they know not what they doing. At the end of the day, Tyler Perry was still a big enough person to be able to say, you know what? Even though you out here talking about me when I don't deserve it, because I ain't did nothing to you. I'm over here in my artistic corner, you over there in your artistic corner. And while you hating on me, I'm loving on you. So how do you fight evil? How do you fight hate? You fight it with love. And so he could have been petty. He could have did all types of things. All the money that man got, he could do whatever he wanted to do. But you know what? He paid homage to him, because again, at the end of the day, and this is that crabs in a barrel mentality. Only one of us can be great. The people can only love one. So I want to make sure that I'm tearing you down, so that way everybody is tearing you down instead of building you up. Like, it's room enough for everybody. I say this all the time. We live in a world. There is no reason why I can't be both and. But we keep having this crab mentality, crab in the barrel mentality, that is either or. Either I can be free or you can be free. Either I can be great or you can be great. Either they love me or they love you. And Tyler is like, man, listen. Tyler is like, I it can be both of us. And matter of fact, I tell you what, because even when it's dying down and maybe everybody ain't mentioning Spike Lee's name, I'm going to make sure that you are memorialized. I'm going to make sure that there is a Spike Lee soundstage. So all the movies that you've done, if people don't remember who you are, because again, ain't no shade to Spike Lee. You can't really talk about like what we do as a people without Malcolm X. That was probably one of the only, what was that movie about? 4 hours long? But it was a great movie, okay? Like, I am not the biggest Spike Lee movie fan. I'm not a fan of people, period. But in general, I am not, I can, I've seen a lot of his movies, but there are probably only a handful that I actually like. But the point is, the Tyler didn't say, you know what, because you talked about me, because you did this and this. No, if you're great, then all I'm doing is honoring greatness. Whether you like me personally or not doesn't take away from your contributions to our culture. Like, you did it in your own way, and I did it in my own way. And at the end of the day, we're all winning. And that should be the mentality. If I know that LaDonna is an author, like, I shouldn't be intimidated to be in the same room with her. She's an international award winning author, international award winning speaker. Like, that shouldn't intimidate me. I should be able to applaud her. I should be happy for her. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm in the room with Demetrius, look, I sing, but I don't hold a candle to what Demetrius can do as an artist, right? But I'm not intimidated to be in the same room. Like, when you know your why, when you know what you're called to do, you know who it is that you're appointed to, then you don't have to be intimidated by nobody else. And I'm not saying that Spike Lee was intimidated by Tyler Perry. I ain't saying that. Regard what it looked like, that ain't what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that a lesson for you to walk away with is to know that you can still be who you are without it being, it does not hurt me to help you. And so I don't have, if I don't have anything good to say, I won't say anything at all. I don't have to cut anybody else down, especially when they're not doing anything wrong. It's just not what you like, right? It's not your cup of tea. But in either case, guys, Maxine's Baby, I've already watched it 3 times. I've told my girls we're all going to watch it. I think that it was wonderfully done. I give it whatever the highest rating that you can give a movie. I will tell everybody about it. And it's not just because it's Tyler Perry. Oh, so it is on Amazon Prime, sir. So Amazon Prime Video is where Tyler Perry's movie Maxine's Baby is playing. I'm gonna need you to watch it, and you probably will find a way to authorize it and do your own review of it because it's that good. Like, everybody is talking about it. Hey, Frederick, everybody is talking about it. And it was worthy of all of the hype. It definitively was. Even though it hasn't even been out for a week yet. Oh my goodness. So look, you gotta watch. So Dak Frederick said, I'm watching it. He started a few days ago. In a few days, Dak, I done watched it 3 times. I watched it 3 times. Look, and I was at church all day yesterday. I watched it 3 times since it came out on Friday. That's how good it is. And it has nothing to do with being a fan of Tyler Perry. Do you look at him and admire his work ethic? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't help but to admire his work ethic. Is that something that you are going to try to duplicate? Pride is not for the faint at heart. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not for the faint at heart. And so again, for me, being a married mother, it gave me um it gave me confirmation of something. And I started at the top of this show sharing another friend of mine who is really a huge go-getter, puts me in the mind of Tyler Perry with his work acumen. And what he said to me, he's like, you know what, you're a wife, a mom, you do all these other things too. So all the strides that you're making, you're achieving your success in your own right, right? And so I think that it's so important because, again, I say Tyler Perry never tried to be like anybody other than himself. He believed in manifestation, even though he may not have said that. But the fact that they mentioned earlier in the documentary how he kept saying, one day I'm going to meet Oprah Winfrey. One day I'm going to meet Oprah Winfrey and we're going to be friends. Y'all, I've been saying this since 2011. And you don't believe me? Go through some of my Facebook comments and all of that stuff when the memories come up. I've been saying since 2011, I'm going to meet Tyler Perry. I'm going to meet him. We are going to have a whole discussion. And again, I say this has nothing to do. Hey, Miss Sonia, this has nothing to do with a romantic anything because it is so not that. But his mind is just genius. And I had another friend of mine probably give me one of the best compliments you could give. I was talking to him about wanting to meet Tyler Perry. He's like, well, why do you want to meet him so bad? I was like, I just want to be able to have a meeting with him. I want to be able to talk to him and see his systems, like his processes. And, like I want to have that type of meeting with him so I can check my notes and make sure I'm dotting I's and crossing T's. And so he says to me, he's like, well, when you have that meeting, you might think that it's going to be like where you're here and he's there. He's like, but in actuality, it's going to really just be more so like two great minds talking and conversing like y'all on the same level. And it blew my mind because I've had and this is, again, this, y'all take for what it is. I've had a lot of people tell me how the things that I do help and impact other people, right? And he even said it too in the documentary. He's like, but you're always thinking about the next thing. You're always thinking about, and for me, that's my thing. I had to learn probably about maybe 3 years ago. I had to learn how to live in the moment. I had to learn, like, because basically I was kind of overlooking the impact that was already being made because I was steadily looking forward to the next thing. And it wasn't maliciously so. It wasn't that I wasn't grateful. It was more so like, okay, I'm glad I did this. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Let's go to the next thing. And there comes a point in your life where you have to be able to slow down enough so that you can at least be able to acknowledge what you have done. You can acknowledge, especially if you're a believer, you can acknowledge the prayers that God has answered. Because many of us, especially those of y'all that's listening to on these other platforms that I'm on, like many of you all are believers, and many of the places that you've gotten is as a result of prayer. And so when you're just constantly going and God is opening the door, He's opening the window, He's making the connection, says our gifts will make room for us. He's making that room, right? Like it is so necessary to stop long enough to be able to say thank you. I prayed for this door to be opened and you opened it. I prayed for this window and you opened it. I pray. You see what I'm saying? Like, so don't get so caught up and so focused on the next that you forget to acknowledge the now, that you forget to remember from whence you've come, right? Because again, everybody wasn't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Everybody, if you Google my name right now, like it will go on for pages and pages and pages. And that's no, I'm not being arrogant when I say it, that's fact. Like put in Tennille M. Jackson in the Google search bar and it will go on some pages. I didn't start out that way, right? Like things where I didn't think it really was anything. And this ain't just because it ain't just pages of my social media pages or things that I'm writing about myself. Like I've been some places and done some things. And I'm saying this to say, for you to say that for yourself, Lord, what have you allowed me to do in my own space? Not comparing myself against anybody else, because we waste so much time that we don't have comparing ourselves to somebody else, because your journey was never meant to be like somebody else's journey, right? It was never meant for you to be a duplicate of somebody else. It was for you to find out your purpose and walk in your purpose and influence the people that were assigned to you and be that domino for the person that needed you, right? And so I just, this movie, it did so much to me on so many different levels. Just being able to see his story, absolutely, his story is touching. Just to see his story, to know where he came from. I don't just mean geographically. I don't even just mean his upbringing, but his process. Because that's the other thing, y'all. Now I'm gonna try to end. I'm Kojic, so I'm trying to come to a close, y'all. But that's the other thing that I want to end with is the process. Understand, and we say it all the time, that this thing called life, it is a journey. It's not a destination. You don't just, I know Beyonce got a song say, I woke up like this, but you don't just wake up like this. You don't just wake up and you already ready. Wake up and you already got the knowledge. Wake up and you already got the wisdom and experience. It's trial and tribulation. It's mistakes, it's hardships, it's tears, it's, I want to give up. Why am I doing this thing? Where are they at? Like you go through all of that. But the thing about it, and this is why I reference the domino part, because we are interdependent. Everybody want to be independent, but my belief is that we are interdependent. That's why APS's mantra is we are better together, right? Because you need me, I need you. Maybe you don't need the same thing from me that I need from you, but we both need each other. When we come together, we are able to be better together, because if done right, you're going to get something out of me that maybe I couldn't have got out without having a conversation with you, and vice versa, right? So when you're able to see that somebody else who is where you're trying to get to, when you see their process, then it kind of helps to validate, because it don't life don't come with a book. It don't nothing say, okay, well, if you do this, you fall 7 times, then by the time you're 16, this is where you should be. And then after this happened, then 3 years later, you'll end up over here. It don't, because if you had that, then it would make a lot of the stuff that you go through a lot easier. Because you'd be like, oh, that's why I'm here. Oh, but for those who are stronger, you're able to not need validation. A lot of people need validation. A lot of people need to know, oh, this is the step that I'm supposed to be on. A lot of people don't just say, okay, well, like what Tyler Perry said, I don't care about the critics. I don't care what nobody else say. You don't have to like it. It wasn't made for you. I know who my audience is, so I'm keeping my eyes on the prize. And that's what I want to end with in telling you guys. I don't care what it is that you're doing, whether you are a parent, a spouse, a significant other, whether you work in corporate America, you start your own business, whether you in ministry, whatever it is you do. Keep your eyes on the prize. Don't worry about what nobody else is doing. Understand what you are doing, what you were purposed to do, and stay focused on walking in your purpose. Stay focused on doing what you were called to do and keeping up with the progress that you have been making. If you're not making the progress that you want to make, figure out why. Not because of the fact, hey, Miss Chastity, not because, well, I'm not doing as good as somebody else is doing, but where am I falling short for me? What am I trying to accomplish? And you work with that. And if you keep your eyes on the prize, then you will be able to have your own success. Whether that success looks the way that Tyler Perry's does in the terms of, all of these billions of dollars and billions of contacts or whatever, or maybe it's just, I got kids that's on the right track. I got a successful marriage. I've been at this company for 35 years. Whatever it may be for you, but find a way to be happy, to have joy and peace in your personal journey. So, y'all, that was Maxine's baby, the Tyler Perry story. It was absolutely excellent. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. It was an incredible watch. I'm probably gonna watch it again. Maybe not tonight because I got something to do, but probably at least once or twice again before Thanksgiving. But I give it the highest rating that you can give it. So whether it's 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, whatever it is, I give it to it. But I want to again end with reminding you guys, for this week only, my holiday specials. I got 2 of them. The life coaching special is for those who are looking to be better. You can join the Building the Quintessential Self Masterclass. It starts on January 8th, and it is a 12-week masterclass. The holiday sale is $9.97. It is normally $12.97 this week only, from now through November 27th, which is Cyber Monday. So now through Monday, it is going to only be $9.97, and you can reserve your spot for just $97. And finally, for those of you who like to write, you say, hey, I need to get this book done. I've been talking about writing a book forever. Well, join my 12-week masterclass that's called Everything You Need to Know to Write a Book. We're going to go through all of it, y'all, in 12 weeks. And both master classes are going to include weekly videos. So every week you're going to get a new video that's going to help you to be hands-on in the process. Every week we're going to have a 1-hour Zoom session. So that way I'm going to be talking to you and you get to ask me any questions that you have. So that way it makes it a very personal and customized experience. And both master classes includes free ebooks. So again, they're normally $12.97 for this week, holiday week, from now through November 27th. It is only $9.97, and you can reserve your spot for just $97. And finally, for those of you who like the show, maybe you're interested in being a guest on the show, definitely reach out. But for those of you who may want to sponsor the show because you like what it is that I do, again, you got an entire weekly round of a weekly broadcast, right? So we educate and empower personally, professionally, politically, socially, and spiritually. So surely your business falls into one of those categories. And so if you need help promoting your business, then I encourage you to become a sponsor. The sponsorship levels start for as low as $100. Okay. So be sure that you look at the sponsorship opportunities for $100. And this is for those who are listening on Instagram as well as Wisdom. You can have your name or logo listed on one of the show promos. You get a sponsor mention at the beginning of the show, and you are promoted as sponsor of the week on both my Facebook and Instagram pages. For just $250, you get your name and logo mentioned on two show promos at the start of two shows, and then you're going to be promoted as sponsor of the week on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then there'll be a ticker feature for two shows. And then level 3, which is only $500, guys. This is basically all month long. For the entire month, your name and logo will be listed on all of the promos. You'll be mentioned at the top of every show, and you'll be promoted as sponsor of the week on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. So across those media platforms, guys, that's well over 10,000 people. That's not your people. On Facebook, I know I have over 5,000 followers. On Instagram, I have over 1,000 followers. On Twitter, I have over 2,000 followers. On LinkedIn, I think it's about 1,500. So when you add all of those numbers up, you're looking at almost 10,000 people who maybe are not in your Rolodex. And so if you're trying to get that message out to a new audience, you may want to strongly think about becoming a sponsor. But in either case, I just want to thank you all again one last time and encourage you to tune in tomorrow for aspects of entrepreneurship. And since we on Thanksgiving break, we're gonna talk about writing. Let's get some writing done, right? Let's talk about some things, not necessarily hindrances, but you know what? Tune in tomorrow so you will know exactly what we're talking about. So that's tomorrow's show. But next week, y'all, I'm sorry, let me do this. On next week's Self-Care Act show, I have Tino Gordon. He is going to be our special guest because remember, on the Self Care Act, we're all about loving yourself, loving others, and loving life. So Tino is within the insurance company, and he's going to be able to talk to us a little bit more about loving your how all of them actually. When you have life insurance, that's practicing them all. So be sure to tune in next week with Tino and tomorrow for aspects of entrepreneurship. But I have been your empowerment specialist, international award-winning author and filmmaker, Tennille M. Jackson. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, you all stay inspired.